All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into something that could totally reshape how you think about your own well-being. It's this powerful concept, this idea that real health isn't just one thing. Nope, it's a whole system of 9 different interconnected parts. And getting a handle on this, well, that's the key to building a truly resilient life.
So let me start by asking you something. When I say the word health, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, let's be honest, the answer is pretty much the same.
You're probably thinking about the gym, right? Or maybe a salad, diet and exercise, our physical bodies. And look, that's absolutely a huge piece of the puzzle. But the whole point of what we're talking about today is that this view is just, well, it's incomplete. It's like trying to build a house on a single pillar. And if you rely on just that one thing, you're going to find yourself surprisingly shaky when life, inevitably throws a curveball your way.
Yeah, that's because real holistic health isn't just one thing at all. It's actually this complex, kind of beautiful system. And it's made up of 9, count them, 9, distinct interconnected dimensions. And if you really want to build genuine, lasting strength, you've got to understand and nurture all 9 of them.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at why health is so much more than just physical. Then, we're going to dive into these 9 dimensions in 3 groups: the inner ones, the external ones, and the foundational ones that hold it all together.
All right, let's dive right in. We're going to start with the dimensions that run our internal world. This is all about what's going on inside, in our minds and in our spirits.
So this first group of 3, it's all about our internal landscape. We're talking intellectual health, emotional health, and spiritual health. To put it simply, it's how we think, how we feel, and how we connect to something bigger than ourselves. So, first up, intellectual health. And listen, this has nothing to do with your IQ score. It's about a commitment, a daily commitment to feeding your brain. It's that curiosity that makes you want to learn a new skill or dig into a complex topic or just understand what's going on in the world. The core message here is simple: never, ever stop growing.
And this leads to a really critical point, highlighted by this quote. Your social circle, it's basically your intellectual gym. The kind of conversations you have on a regular basis literally shape the thoughts you're able to think. It's a simple idea, but man, is it powerful. Really makes you think about who you're spending your time with, doesn't it? Okay, next up is emotional health. I love how the source material calls this your inner weather. Think about it. If it's constantly stormy inside your head, with stress and anger and grudges you just can't let go of, it doesn't matter how sunny it is outside, you're not going to enjoy it. And this is not some small thing. That kind of unresolved negativity can, and often does, show up as real, serious physical problems later on.
And check out this analogy. It's brilliant for explaining emotional health. It says ingratitude is like a thorny bush. You don't have to do anything for it to grow. It just takes over. But gratitude, that's like a garden. You have to tend to it. It takes real, conscious effort every single day to plant those seeds and help it grow. Now, for spiritual health, the best way to think about this is like your smartphone's battery, right? You can have the latest model, the fastest processor, all the best apps, but if that battery hits 0, that phone is just a useless brick. It's the same for us. Things like prayer or meditation, or even just some quiet time to reflect, that's how we recharge our spiritual battery. Without it, we just don't have the juice to get things done. Okay, so we've covered our inner world. Now let's zoom out a bit. The next set of 3 dimensions is all about how we operate in the world outside of ourselves. This group covers the real-world stuff, the practical structures we build in our lives. We're talking about financial health, networking health, and career health. Basically, your money, your people, and your work. So, financial health. Let's be real, the source material doesn't pull any punches here. In the world we live in, money is a critical tool. Now, financial health isn't about being mega rich, it's about being smart with your resources so you can actually fund your own growth. So you can afford to buy that book, take that course, or hop on a train to network. And the key takeaway here is pretty surprising. It's not about how much money you make. It's about discipline. The big goal is to aim to save between 20 and 50% of your income, to live on way less than you earn. That one habit, no matter what your paycheck says, builds a buffer that gives you freedom and cuts down on a ton of stress.
All right, that brings us to networking health. And it all boils down to this super famous quote, a quote you've probably heard before: "You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with." It's not just a nice saying. The idea is that it's a mathematical reality.
And to really hammer this home, think about it like this. Imagine your small group of friends. Now, what happens if Bill Gates suddenly walks in and joins your circle? Boom, your group's average net worth just shot into the billions. Now, obviously, that's a wild example, but the principle is dead on. The people in your circle, their value, their knowledge, it all lifts you up. Your network literally sets the ceiling on your potential.
Next, career health. The message here is simple and maybe a little scary. Do not stagnate. You have to be the CEO of your own career path. The source makes a bold claim. If you're in the exact same job, same role for more than 3 years, that might be a problem. You have to be the one pushing for growth, whether that means changing companies or even going back to an old one at a higher level.
Okay, and that brings us to our final group, the 3 foundational dimensions. Think of these as the concrete slab everything else we've talked about is built on. This is our immediate, tangible, day-to-day reality. And in this group, we find the one we all expected from the start, physical health. But it's sitting right alongside 2 others that are arguably just as important in today's world: our digital health and our environmental health. So let's quickly break this table down. First, physical health. The core idea: your body is the only vessel you get. The big takeaway is to get an hour of exercise in every day, especially after you turn 40. Then there's digital health. We have to stop the mindless consumption that just eats up our lives. The trick? Before you scroll or watch or play, just ask yourself, why am I doing this? It's a game changer. And finally, environmental health. Your surroundings directly shape your state of mind. So if you can, choose to live somewhere clean and quiet. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, so we've walked through all 9 of these dimensions, from our deepest inner thoughts to our career, our money, our physical space. But what's the point of all this? What's the end game? Why does juggling all 9 of these things matter so much?
Because the goal isn't just to be healthy in that old-school physical sense. The real goal is to become resilient. When you intentionally work on all 9 of these areas, you're not just building pillars, you're building an entire fortress. A structure that's so strong, so well-rounded, that when a crisis inevitably hits one area, maybe you lose your job or you get some bad news from the doctor, it doesn't all come crashing down. The other 8 dimensions are there to hold you up. You become incredibly hard to break.
Look, this whole framework, it's not just some interesting theory to think about. It's a practical roadmap. So we're going to end this explainer with a question for you. Now that you've seen all 9, which one of these dimensions is calling out to you? Which part of your life could use a little more care? What's just one small, tiny thing you can do today to start making it stronger?